You're tuned to the Steve Donoghue Show on CPL Radio, your one-stop daily source for Steve's take on the world of books. And now your host, the book critic who literally reads everything, Steve Donoghue.
Greetings, fellow patrons of the Cedarburg Public Library, and welcome back to the Steve Donoghue Show, where we discuss bookish news, views, and reviews with one eye cocked always on the dark web. Our news today involves the last standing big chain bookstore in the United States, Barnes & Noble. Just the other day, Nate Hoffelder, the founder and editor of the Digital Reader, posted an article on his site under the banner headline, "All of Barnes & Noble's computer systems are down, and I do mean all of them." Hoffelder's website bio mentions that in his spare time he fosters dogs for a local rescue group, which, if true, certainly makes him sound like a nice guy. But he could be Mr. Frickin' Rogers, and that still wouldn't give him all the license to simply straight up lie, and that banner headline from Tuesday was a straight up lie. Leaving aside the all, and I do mean all headline, his article starts with the line, "Barnes & Noble is going through the mother of all system crashes right now." Then it continues with the line, quote, "Sometime late Friday night or early Saturday morning, the retailer's entire IT backbone crashed. And it took almost all the company's functionality with it. Everything from cash registers to the catalog lookup is down." But the sentence has a line drawn through it on the website. Readers at the site can plainly see what the original sentence was. Neither it nor the pants on fire banner headline were removed. Because apparently we all agreed that in the 21st century, adults get to act like children without suffering any loss of credibility. You have to ask yourself, if the original sentence, the one asserting that, quote, "almost all the company's functionality," close quote, was gone, everything from the cash register to the book lookup was in fact wrong, then why is it still in the article? What purpose does a strike-through serve other than spotlighting the author's own stubborn petulance? Hoffelder appended an edit that reads like this. Here's the quote. "A number of B&N employees have called me on this, and they are right when they said that I exaggerated. The systems were still functional, albeit severely crippled by what some reports described as a ransomware/Trojan virus." If you keep reading the article, if an edit like that doesn't stop you in your tracks and leave you thinking that graffiti sprayed on the underside of a highway would be more reliable on this or any other subject, you'll see that when Hoffelder does this rearguard action of referring to some reports, what he's talking about is chatter and rumors that he found on Reddit. This is the quote. "There are unconfirmed reports on Reddit," he writes, "that B&N has been attacked by a virus or other malware. Given that we are now on day 4 of this situation, it is more than likely that they are correct." It need hardly be pointed out here that there are no reports, confirmed or otherwise, on Reddit or 4chan or 8kun or any other internet garbage rumor site like them. But even if this all, and I do mean all, aborted story isn't the digital reader's finest hour, there was a real subject on discussion, as a look at the article's comments field shows. Barnes & Noble really did have a problem this week. Hoffelder was badly wrong about its extent, as he himself notes in the comments, ridiculous strike-through notwithstanding. But B&M employees in his comments field backed that up. One of them wrote that there had been a slowdown across the company's stores, although simultaneously pointing out that key services were never completely down. That B&N employee then elaborated on 2 key points, and I want to quote the whole of the comment here. Quote, "As for rumors about hackers, it was almost definitely a hack. All of our networks failing at the same time? Maybe we're behind a bit technologically, but not that much so. There was some fishy business going on. The favorite conspiracy theory amongst me and my coworkers is that Amazon was trying to cripple some competition before Prime Day. Most of the customers who came into the store were very understanding and patient as we worked around the system issues. We were able to apologize to them in person and make it feel less like a courtesy. Before you abandon B&N over a freak system failure for some company like Amazon, consider Barnes & Noble is a very human company. You can call us and a real person will answer. You can walk into a store and real people will help you. Don't let physical bookstores die just because of a one-off incident. Barnes & Noble has its issues as a company, but there's a reason it has been voted America's most trusted retailer for 2 years in a row. Close quote. That final bit was the part of all this that struck me the most. There's something very appealing about a human company. There's nothing appealing about a company-wide hack, especially if it's a weapon of corporate competition, but real people will help you has an undeniable visceral appeal. Another thing that struck me in those comments harkened back to the decades-old paper books versus e-books debate. Several worried customers sounded off about how they've so thoroughly accustomed themselves to reading e-books that when their e-book library was temporarily unavailable, they felt lost. One person, claiming to have been a former Barnes & Noble manager, despite spelling the company's name wrong, struck the requisite Luddite line about how real books, paper and ink books, never crash. But the majority tone was one of people briefly losing access to their libraries. I found that fascinating and in a way encouraging. Even 10 years ago, I doubt such an incident would have flushed into the open quite so many people who are now entirely wedded to the idea of ebook reading, people who dearly miss it when it's temporarily unavailable. In the days since that first digital reader post, more details have come to light. Barnes & Noble released a statement confirming that they had, in fact, been hacked, but assuring their customers that no credit card information had been stolen, that all customer accounts were encrypted and secure. Hoffelder wrote all this up on the digital reader as well, and that post too got comments, including one from a reader named Steve that read in part as a damning indictment of Barnes & Noble itself. And I want to read it to you. Quote, "They've handled this in the worst possible way. Rather than coming clean and saying up front what the extent of the problem has been, they only admitted piece by piece the truth as others have come forward or they've been relentlessly pressed to do so. As someone who has been with Nook since its debut and is now considering seriously a move to Kindle, I also have a feeling that this will cost them dearly in terms of customer loyalty and future purchases. It seems B&N's new owners are just as inept, or maybe even more so, at running the company than their predecessors." The lessons from all this, big and small, seem fairly obvious. The first lesson is that every once in a great while, for all the wrong reasons, that stubborn remnant of boring Luddites will occasionally be right. Printed paper and ink books really can't be hacked. The library shelves crawling up your walls can't suddenly wink out of existence while somebody runs a system check on them. And like all obvious lessons, this one is so tautological as to be virtually useless. And its reverse is equally educational, right? If those shelves of books are stolen, there's no systems check that can restore them in an instant. Anyone who's ever lost a library to flood or fire or termites will know there's no master copy they can simply re-download to their study walls. No, to me, the more interesting lesson from this admittedly scary incident is attitudinal, not latitudinal. Data breaches and ransomware attacks happen. They are an unpleasant but unavoidable aspect of our digital world. With any luck, B&N will use what it learned from this attack to prevent the next time from ever happening. The more interesting lesson for me is that a great many people felt this breach on a personal level. A great many people felt as if their wooden bookshelves really had been rifled by an intruder. That encourages me, even in the midst of all the worry. A paperless future for books is to me such an obvious and desirable future that I'm impatient for it to be the present. And that present will happen all the faster if the world's readers are bonding with their books, even if those books are electronic files. I'll keep an eye on this story, just in case Nate Hoffelder finds some other pertinent gossip on Reddit, and I'll keep you apprised. But in the meantime, fellow patrons, I'll sign off for now and wish you a very good, and dare I say, hack-free, bookish day.
The Steve Donoghue Show is a production of CPL Radio, a service of the Cedarburg Public Library located in Cedarburg, Wisconsin.